Imagine standing at the edge of a serene Japanese garden, where the air carries the faint scent of moss and the gentle trickle of a koi pond hums in the background. The world feels still, yet alive with quiet intention. You're holding a cup of warm tea, its steam curling upward, and for a moment, the relentless noise of your daily life, endless notifications, looming deadlines, the pressure to be more, do more, have more, fades into a distant murmur. This is not an escape, but an invitation, a glimpse into a way of being that feels both ancient and urgently needed. Wabi-Sabi, Japan's timeless philosophy of finding beauty in imperfection, simplicity, and the natural flow of life. In a world that glorifies polished perfection, endless accumulation, and frenetic pace, Wabi-Sabi offers you a radical yet gentle path to a life that is simpler, more intentional, and profoundly fulfilling. It's not about doing less for the sake of less, but about choosing what matters most with a heart full of awareness and grace. You might feel overwhelmed right now, tangled in the demands of a hyper-connected, consumer-driven culture, where every day seems to pull you further from the peace you crave. Perhaps you're wrestling with a cluttered home, a racing mind, or the nagging sense that your life, despite its busyness, lacks meaning. Wabi-Sabi speaks directly to these struggles, whispering that the beauty you seek is already within the imperfect, the incomplete, the transient. It's a philosophy that doesn't demand you overhaul your life overnight, but invites you to see it differently, to embrace its cracks and crevices as spaces where light can enter. Let's embark on a journey together, exploring how Wabi-Sabi can transform the way you live, think, and connect with the world, guiding you toward a life of clarity, purpose, and deep contentment. To understand Wabi-Sabi, we must first peel back its layers, for it is a concept that resists simple definition, yet resonates with universal truth. The term itself is a marriage of two Japanese words, wabi, which originally alluded to the loneliness of living in nature, but evolved to mean rustic simplicity, quiet taste, and refined beauty, and sabi, which points to the beauty that comes with age, the patina of wear, the charm of impermanence. Together, wabi-sabi is the art of finding profound beauty in what is humble, weathered, and fleeting. It's the rough texture of a hand-thrown ceramic bowl, cherished for its uneven glaze. The faded elegance of a wooden table, marked by years of shared meals. The fleeting bloom of a cherry blossom, perfect precisely because it will soon fall. Historically, wabi-sabi emerged from the tea ceremonies of 16th century Japan, where Zen monks and tea masters like Sen no Rikyu elevated simplicity and mindfulness into a spiritual practice. Unlike the opulent aesthetics of the time, wabi-sabi celebrated the understated, the natural, the authentic. It was a rebellion against excess, a reminder that true richness lies not in accumulation, but in appreciation. Philosophically, wabi-sabi is rooted in Zen Buddhism, which teaches that all things are impermanent, imperfect, and incomplete. Yet far from being nihilistic, this perspective is liberating. It frees you from the pursuit of unattainable perfection and invites you to find joy in the present, just as it is. For you, living in a modern world obsessed with flawless facades and relentless productivity, wabi-sabi is a lifeline. It counters the pressure to curate a picture-perfect life, urging you to embrace your flaws, your struggles, and the fleeting nature of each moment as sources of beauty and meaning. Consider the weight of your daily life for a moment. You might wake to a phone buzzing with notifications, each one demanding your attention, pulling you into a cycle of comparison and distraction. Your inbox overflows with tasks, your calendar is a Tetris board of obligations, and your home, despite your efforts, feels like a museum of clutter. Clothes you don't wear, gadgets you don't use, papers you'll never read. Financial stress gnaws at you, whether it's the pressure to keep up with rising costs or the temptation to buy the latest thing that promises happiness. Relationships, too, can feel strained as you juggle time between work, family, and the endless scroll of social media, leaving you disconnected from those you love most. And beneath it all, there's a quiet ache, a question. Is this really what life is supposed to feel like? Wabi-Sabi doesn't pretend these struggles don't exist. It acknowledges them with compassion and offers a way through. It teaches you to let go of the need for everything to be perfect, to stop chasing an idealized version of yourself or your life. Instead, it encourages you to find beauty in the messiness, to savor the small, imperfect moments that make up your days. A hurried breakfast with your kids, a walk in the rain, a quiet evening with a book that's slightly dog-eared. By embracing Wabi-Sabi, you begin to see that a meaningful life isn't about having it all figured out. It's about cherishing what's here now in all its flawed glory. The benefits of living with Wabi-Sabi are as vast as they are transformative, touching every corner of your existence. Mentally, Wabi-Sabi brings clarity and peace by freeing you from the tyranny of perfectionism. Imagine no longer agonizing over every decision, no longer berating yourself for mistakes. Instead, you approach life with curiosity and grace, seeing each misstep as a brushstroke in the larger painting of your journey. For example, if you're a writer who's been paralyzed by the fear of producing a flawless draft, Wabi-Sabi encourages you to embrace the rough edges of your first attempt, knowing that its imperfections are part of its charm. Emotionally, Wabi-Sabi fosters resilience and gratitude. When you accept that life is inherently transient, you stop clinging to moments or outcomes, which reduces anxiety and deepens your appreciation for the present. Picture yourself sitting with a friend, laughing over coffee, and instead of worrying about tomorrow's to-do list, you're fully there, savoring the warmth of the moment, knowing it will pass, but trusting that's what makes it precious. Physically, Wabi-Sabi can inspire simplicity in your environment, which research shows reduces stress and improves focus. By decluttering your space, not to achieve a minimalist showroom, but to keep only what you truly value, you create a home that feels like a sanctuary. Imagine walking into your living room and seeing a single, slightly chipped vase holding a few wildflowers, its simplicity grounding you in a way that a crowded shelf never could. Spiritually, Wabi-Sabi nurtures a sense of connection to something larger. It invites you to see the sacred in the ordinary, the way sunlight dances on a worn wooden floor, the sound of leaves rustling outside your window. This perspective can be profoundly grounding, especially if you've felt adrift in a world that prioritizes material success over inner peace. In relationships, Wabi-Sabi encourages you to embrace the imperfections of others, fostering deeper, more authentic connections. Instead of wishing your partner or friend were different, you appreciate their quirks and vulnerabilities, just as you learn to appreciate your own. For instance, if your spouse forgets an anniversary, Wabi-Sabi might prompt you to focus on the countless small ways they show love daily, rather than dwelling on the oversight. In your career, Wabi-Sabi can shift your focus from chasing promotions or flawless performance to finding meaning in the process. A teacher, for example, might stop striving for perfect lesson plans and instead cherish the unpredictable, messy moments of connection with students. Financially, Wabi-Sabi promotes conscious consumption, urging you to invest in quality over quantity. Rather than buying a dozen cheap shirts that wear out quickly, you might choose one well-made piece that you'll wear for years. Its eventual frayed edges a testament to a life well lived. Environmentally, this mindset aligns with sustainability, as you waste less and value what you have, reducing your ecological footprint. Creatively, Wabi-Sabi unlocks freedom by celebrating imperfection as a source of originality. An artist might embrace the happy accidents in their work, like a smudge of paint that adds unexpected depth, rather than striving for sterile precision. Contrast this with the dominant habits of modern life, which often lead to burnout and dissatisfaction. Society pushes you to accumulate more stuff, more achievements, more likes, promising that happiness lies just beyond the next purchase or milestone. Yet the more you chase, the emptier you feel. Consumerism encourages you to buy things you don't need, filling your home with clutter and your mind with guilt. Social media amplifies comparison, making you feel inadequate unless your life looks like a curated highlight reel. Productivity culture glorifies busyness, leaving you exhausted and disconnected from what truly matters. Wabi-Sabi, by contrast, is sustainable and soul-nourishing. Where consumerism breeds excess, Wabi-Sabi celebrates enough. Where perfectionism breeds anxiety, Wabi-Sabi offers acceptance. Where busyness breeds distraction, Wabi-Sabi cultivates presence. Imagine two versions of yourself. One frantically juggling a packed schedule, a cluttered home, and a mind full of shoulds, versus another who moves through life with intention, surrounded by a few cherished possessions, savoring each moment's imperfection. The latter isn't a fantasy. It's the promise of Wabi-Sabi, a path that's not only more fulfilling, but also more aligned with your deepest values. So how do you begin to weave Wabi-Sabi into your life? The beauty of this philosophy is that it doesn't require grand gestures, but thrives in small, intentional steps. Start with your physical space, as it's often a reflection of your inner world. Choose one area, say your desk or a single drawer, and approach it with mindfulness. Instead of aiming for a sterile, magazine-worthy result, ask yourself, what do I truly need and love here? Keep only those items that serve a purpose or spark joy, and let go of the rest with gratitude, acknowledging their role in your life. For example, if you find an old notebook filled with half-finished ideas, thank it for holding your thoughts, then recycle it, trusting that new ideas will come. As you declutter, notice the imperfections in what you keep, a scratched mug, a faded photo, and let them remind you that beauty lies in use, not flawlessness. Next, extend this practice to your digital life. Unsubscribe from newsletters that clutter your inbox, mute social media accounts that fuel comparison, and set boundaries around screen time. Try a digital Wabi-Sabi ritual. For one evening a week, turn off your devices and engage in a simple analog activity like reading a physical book or sketching. These small acts create space for clarity and presence. Mentally, Wabi-Sabi invites you to embrace imperfection in yourself. Begin a daily practice of self-compassion by writing down one flaw you've criticized yourself for, perhaps a missed deadline or a moment of impatience, and reframe it as a natural part of being human. For instance, if you snapped at your child after a long day, write, "I'm not perfect, and that's okay. My impatience shows I'm human, and I can choose to apologize and connect with my child tomorrow." This practice, done consistently, rewires your mindset, replacing self-judgment with acceptance. To cultivate mindfulness, try a Wabi-Sabi-inspired meditation. Sit quietly for 5 minutes, focusing on an imperfect object nearby, a cracked cup, a wilting plant, and reflect on its beauty. Notice its texture, its history, its transience, and let it anchor you in the present. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back, accepting the imperfection of your focus. For relationships, practice Wabi-Sabi by appreciating the flaws in those you love. Write a letter to a friend or partner, not to send but to reflect, listing the quirks or imperfections you cherish about them. Their messy handwriting, their tendency to ramble. This shifts your perspective, deepening your connection. Challenges will arise as you adopt Wabi-Sabi, and that's part of the journey. You might feel resistance to letting go of possessions, fearing you'll need them later. Counter this by starting small, donate one item a day, and remind yourself that Wabi-Sabi is about trusting life's flow. If perfectionism creeps in, making you doubt your progress, pause and reflect. Progress, not perfection. If you struggle to stay present, especially in a world of constant distractions, create anchors, simple rituals like brewing tea mindfully or taking 3 deep breaths before checking your phone. If you feel judged by others for embracing simplicity in a culture of excess, ground yourself in your values. Wabi-Sabi is about your inner peace, not external approval. To sustain these changes, track your Wabi-Sabi wins in a journal. Each day, note one moment where you embraced imperfection or simplicity. Perhaps you chose a quiet walk over scrolling, or you appreciated a meal's humble ingredients. Over time, these small victories compound, reshaping your life. Throughout this journey, stories can illuminate Wabi-Sabi's power. Picture Aiko, a young professional drowning in work and social obligations. Her apartment was a maze of unused gadgets and unworn clothes, her mind a storm of what-ifs. Inspired by Wabi-Sabi, she began decluttering, keeping only what felt essential, a few books, a worn scarf from her grandmother. She started savoring small moments, like the way sunlight hit her coffee mug each morning, Over months, her stress eased, her relationships deepened, and she found joy in her imperfect, simpler life. Or consider Hiroshi, a retiree who felt purposeless after leaving his career. By embracing Wabi-Sabi, he began tending a small garden, appreciating each plant's quirks and cycles. The garden became a metaphor for his life, imperfect, ever-changing, beautiful. These stories remind you that Wabi-Sabi isn't a destination, but a way of seeing, a lens that reveals beauty in what's already yours. Wabi-Sabi also harmonizes with other philosophies, enriching its practice. It echoes mindfulness, the art of being fully present, which you can deepen through Wabi-Sabi-inspired rituals like savoring a meal's textures or listening to rain without distraction. It aligns with minimalism, but where minimalism can feel rigid, Wabi-Sabi is softer, embracing imperfection over stark emptiness. It resonates with Stoicism's focus on accepting what you cannot control, helping you release the need for a perfect life. Even gratitude practices, found in positive psychology, amplify Wabi-Sabi's emphasis on appreciating what is. For example, keeping a gratitude journal where you note 3 imperfect things you're thankful for each day, a chipped plate, a rainy afternoon, a clumsy conversation, can transform your perspective. These connections deepen Wabi-Sabi's impact, making it a versatile tool for modern life. As you stand at the threshold of this journey, let Wabi-Sabi be your guide, not a rule book, but a gentle companion. Reflect on what imperfection you can embrace today, perhaps a messy desk, a faltering yoga practice, or a moment of vulnerability with a loved one. Start small, but start now. Notice the beauty in a cracked sidewalk, the fleeting warmth of your morning coffee, the laughter that spills from an unplanned moment. These are the threads of a Wabi-Sabi life, woven not from grand gestures but from quiet, intentional choices. You don't need to be perfect, nor does your life. The cracks, the fades, the fleeting moments, they're not flaws but invitations to live more deeply, to love more fully, to be more present. Wabi-Sabi promises not a life without struggle, but one where struggle becomes part of the beauty, where simplicity becomes abundance, where imperfection becomes home. Take a breath, look around, and begin. The beauty you seek is already here, waiting for you to see it.